Hello, everyone. I'm Beth Kasumovic, and thanks for the introduction. I don't need to reintroduce myself. And I'm here to talk to you about our illegal dumping prevention program that we implemented over the past year to target household dumping. Sorry, am I aiming in the right spot? Middle button. Thank you. So just to put things into context, we're a small governing area of 9 kilometers squared. We have a population of 70,000, and 80% of those people live in multi-unit dwellings, so that's apartment blocks. In Bondi specifically, we have a very transient population. A lot of people come for the summer, and they blow in and out. They're there for a few weeks to a few months, and this leads to quite a lot of household dumping, including piles of mattresses. And this is one of the nicer pictures of mattresses that I've seen. So welcome to Mattressland. This is a real description of Bondi Beach from a young resident. Waverley has had a problem with curbside dumping for a long time, but it's only been since about 2015 that we've been able to turn our attention to it. We have a large challenge ahead of us. So last year, Waverley Council was awarded a New South Wales EPA Waste Less, Recycle More grant to implement our Get Rid of It Right program. 5 hotspots were targeted following evidence of significant illegal dumping incidents in our internal records, as well as the EPA's RID online system for reporting illegal dumping. These hotspot streets were responsible for 15% of the total dumps reported in the Waverley area in 2016 and 17 over the financial year. So key strategies that we employed in our Get Rid of It Right campaign included education, beautification, communication about proper waste disposal, and enforcement. The program aimed to cover a broad set of approaches to reducing illegal dumping incidents, and today I'm going to talk to you about how we implemented those strategies. So it's not enough to inform our community that dumping is illegal and creates a huge problem for council to clean up. We needed to leverage the fact that our neighbors don't appreciate it. So we ran a high visibility poster campaign at bus stops and local businesses through the summer months, and wrote social norming articles in our local newspapers. We wanted to engage our community to discuss the dumping issue, and we held those discussions face-to-face on the street, on social media, and at events. The core of our campaign focused on 3 main messages: My street is your street, book a free cleanup with council instead of dumping, report a dumper as it's an offense. In all of our communications, we aim to reframe what is meant by illegal dumping, that placing unwanted items on the curbside or any public land is considered illegal. We took special care to ensure that the visuals and descriptions of illegal dumping connected with small household items, as these were the most commonly dumped items in our community. All communications included responsible citizen messaging to label illegal dumps as socially unacceptable and unneighborly. And we were encouraging Waverley residents to reclaim their streets. So My Street is Your Street is a campaign that involved a call out to residents along our 5 hotspots to participate in a photo shoot and contribute a story about why they love where they live. We wanted to prime newcomers with the message of a caring community. We believed this would help increase the impact of other more direct campaigns targeting antisocial behavior such as illegal dumping. And we ended up with several participants. People who had lived in Bondi all their lives and others who had only been there for a few months. So Jane on the right is one of our lifetime Bondi residents. She says, "It's a diverse and caring community. We work together on big issues. There's a huge care factor when you love your space." And Sergio, who's only lived in Bondi for 8 months, says, "People are really nice, and I love the vibe. Bondi is filled with different cultures and languages." Posters of these beautiful people and their neighborly stories were placed at local businesses, enlarged and put up in bus shelters, and scheduled for ongoing social media posts. And the reach of this campaign at the midpoint of our program was 200,000. At the same time, we promoted Council's cleanup service through a variety of communications. Flyers like this one were placed underneath doors instead of inside already full mailboxes. And we pushed the message that leaving items on the curbside without a booking is considered illegal and may incur a fine. We created bin-based signage for apartment blocks to promote the use of council's cleanup service. And we created variations on this poster so that, because some property managers would rather residents book their own cleanup, where others preferred to book a cleanup on behalf of a number of residents. And our goal was to make it easy for residents and property managers to take up council's cleanup service and to follow council's instructions regarding when to place items out to avoid people adding to the pile. So weekends are a popular time for residents to get rid of their stuff. And it's also when they're more likely to be home for a door knock. So we aligned our enforcement program accordingly. The Sydney RID Squad officers and our own rangers ran regular weekend patrols across our hotspots once per month and up to 8 times a month. By scheduling patrols over the weekends, we were able to not only investigate incidents, we were also able to connect with people and provide education. High-vis pile tape and stickers helped to emphasize that patrols were happening in the area. And rangers also used letterbox drops with both the book a cleanup message as well as dumping is illegal message, and provided face-to-face communications where possible. We think this also gave us a better sense of the scale of the issue, as frequent patrols meant we were capturing more accurate data. So preliminary data from the RID Squad tells us that since July, the RID Squad has investigated 425 dumping incidents along our 5 streets, issued 34 cleanup notices, 17 cautions, and 5 penalty notices. And that's only 5 streets within the Bondi area. We created very bright stickers to label the dumps and to encourage people to report a dump using the RID Online website. We found this was an easier way to report a dump rather than call the environment pollution hotline, where you can end up on the phone for quite a while. After 2 months of out-of-hours patrols using our new stickers and signage, we started to see reductions in the number of dumps on our hotspot streets. Not only were we getting good results, residents were happy to see our rangers and RID Squad officers out there. We found willing partners, both internally and externally, to collaborate with, to beautify our hotspot streets and extend the impact of our project. Internally, we partnered with our Community Connections team, who promote street gardens for social cohesion. Once we provided some background on the benefits of street care and beautification, and how this has a potential to reduce dumping, our internal partners were on board with the plan to install a community garden outside one of our hotspots. So the community garden was installed outside the Wayside Chapel, which is a charity and op shop. And through internal partnerships, the Wayside Chapel staff had agreed to water the garden and maintain it while reaping the benefits of a clean, beautiful space. We also engaged with the charity's community about a long-term solution to preventing dumping on council's land and on their own land. Additionally, the child center next door got involved with the garden. So these 16 4-year-olds had surprisingly strong views on possums and what types of plants should be planted in the garden. And I definitely see a possum box in my future at that spot. We received positive community feedback in the whole catchment area around the garden. So these collaborations help to show the broader community how beautification can deter dumping, so we hope to see more gardens along our streets. So another beautification measure that we took on was the removal of legacy bollards. And I'm not sure if anyone has these beautiful things in their LGA, but they are like petrified wood structure in that top photo. And they're meant to deter parking on the native strip. So these ones have been installed decades ago as a parking deterrent. And to address this eyesore, we came up with a plan to remove the bollards along Francis Street and test whether there were any parking issues. So we actually removed 50 bollards, which seems a little bit ridiculous along like a 1-block distance. However, following the successful removal of those bollards and no parking infringements, we were able to remove the remaining bollards in our hotspots and instead planted trees, which I think is much nicer. So our objective here was to beautify the area and instill a sense of pride in our community that would deter dumping. So as I mentioned, 80% of Waverley residents live in multi-unit buildings. Surveys done at the outset of our program illustrated that strata and real estate agents are critical information conduits for disseminating information about illegal dumping and waste management. The good news is that they care very much about this issue. So we invited a small but mighty group of strata managers to help us better understand the issue from their perspective. These managers oversee upwards of 200 properties in the Waverley area. So we saw the potential to achieve great results with this working group. Following our discussions, we were able to discern which resources would be most useful to the different properties, including bin-based signage, tenant move-in and out packs. We also identified solutions we'd not previously considered, but could have significant long-term impact. One of these key solutions was a strata waste bylaw that we've developed through a strata lawyer who's featured here, that's Amanda Farmer. And we've made this available to the strata schemes that are in Waverley. So the scheme itself helps property managers recoup the cost for disposing of dumped rubbish on the common land. And we showcased the waste strata bylaw at an information session in March for Waverley residents, strata committee members, and property managers. And it sold out 80 spots within days with minimal promotion. And I was also invited to be interviewed with Amanda Farmer on her podcast, and the link is here and there if you're interested. It's 17 minutes long, so you don't need to listen to the whole thing. But this is, again, one of those avenues to really engage with our community about proper waste management at buildings. So this area of focus has received surprisingly high volumes of attention from our community. So it's clear that this type of information is sought after, and we plan to continue to work in the space of apartment block waste management. So key learnings. Well, the data will never be perfect. And I think illegal dumping data is one of the hardest things to really capture, document, and report on. We used both the RIT online system and our internal system, and this gave us enough information to pinpoint areas of concern. As we started to scrutinize specific streets throughout our project, the incident report numbers went up before they went down. We chalked this up to getting a more accurate view of the scope of the problem. We see this as a good thing. Even with incomplete baseline data, we have been able to pick starting points, our hotspot streets. We had the biggest successes when we found stakeholders with similar goals to reduce dumping. Among these are the strata managers, building managers, real estate concerned residents, and our internal staff. Even our outdoor maintenance staff have seen the negative effect on morale when there's litter and illegal dumping in the space that they have to maintain. It turns out that if we choose to engage on this issue collaboratively, we're more successful. So short and long-term results, patrols and visible enforcement made an immediate impact on our hotspots. We will continue to use a street-by-street approach and schedule weekend dumping patrols in problem areas. However, it's not always possible to patrol every street from a resource point of view. We don't have the people. The culture of dumping in Bondi has to change, and that can't be accomplished with stick alone. It also can't be accomplished by council telling residents to change. Farther-reaching tools like bylaws and street gardens are a way for us to tap into the community's desire to have a beautiful street that deters dumping over the long term, and to keep eroding the perception that it's okay to leave rubbish out. That's it from me.